We're the Young Indy Chronicles podcast, and we're producing a new feature-length documentary, George Lucas, The Lost Golden Age.
George Lucas was going to do this Lawrence of Arabia scale epic on a 16mm budget.
You got a chance to have the same adventure making the show as what Indy was doing.
His stuff is really quite political.
You didn't think I was going to run, did you?
I learned that when George says he wants to ultimately change or fix something, that he was going to do it.
We built a Kickstarter campaign to support the film. Late pledges are available now at Kickstarter.com.
Indiana, we are simply passing through history. This is history.
Welcome to the Young Indy Chroniclers, a podcast about the making of the show, The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, which first aired on ABC in 1992.
Kept thinking about what was Indiana Jones like as a young man. I came up with this idea of him seeing the world through the eyes of a soldier and a secret agent.
Over the course of our podcast, we're going to talk to a whole host of very talented people who either worked on this show or were there from the beginning.
We were able to shoot it on location in the real places where these events took place.
Oh, make it up as you go. Oh boy, that's great advice.
We hired some of the best European directors, a whole host of very, very talented people.
I'm your host, Peter Holmstrom.
And I'm Daniel Noah, and this is the Young Indy Chroniclers.
There's only one rule, Indiana. Stay alive.
Welcome back to the Young Indy Chroniclers, the one and only podcast focused specifically on the Young Indiana Jones television series and franchise. I'm your host, Peter Holmstrom, and joining me on this adventure of a lifetime is Mr. Daniel Noah.
I'm kicking the football this time, Peter.
There we go. One of the most important jobs on a film set is the role of a script supervisor. These are the people that keep track not just of continuity, but also of timing and keeps everything straight and in order. For a major film, so often things are shot out of order, and it can be imperative that things are remembered. Otherwise, it will take the viewer out of the experience. Today's show, we're really thrilled to have with us the script supervisor of, I guess we would say, the third season of Young Indiana Jones. She worked on the Family Channel made-for-TV movies, but also is credited on The Winds of Change. And for her career, she also started out as an actress. Per Daniel's joke earlier, she played the role of Sally Brown on the early 1970s Peanuts TV specials. Hilary Momberger-Powers is joining us today. Thanks very much for being here.
Hey guys, thanks for inviting me. This is kind of fun. We've been a blast to the past. How much fun is that?
You know, what I didn't mention in the intro is that beyond Young Indiana Jones, you've worked on just some of the biggest films, really, of the last, era of filmmaking. It's really been remarkable just going through your IMDb list.
After all these years, you're still able to surprise me.
Show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value life even when our enemies don't.
I used to live my life a quarter mile at a time. But things changed.
The suit, where'd this come from? The power. Feels good. You lose yourself to it.
But I wonder if we could just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, like how you got involved in this crazy business of ours.
Oh my gosh. I started very young. I was a child actress. I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm a Valley girl, if you care to, whatever. Anyhow, I grew up in Los Angeles, and my mother was a Jackie Gleason girl way back in the days, where she'd say, "And here's Jackie."
Starring Jackie Gleason and his guests, Edie Adams, George Carlin, and special guest star Jackie's pal, Milton Berle, the June Taylor Dancers, and Sammy Spear in his orchestra. And away we go.
And she gave up her career because, in the 40s, going into acting was like very taboo for, a woman. She was an only child and went to like Columbia, Barnard, and it was like the last thing she was going to do is be one of those little tawdry women, So, and my grandpa was, he was kind of something in New York City. He was the assistant district attorney and ran for Senate. And he was like, my daughter's not doing that. So she gave it up. And she resented the shit out of my grandpa and all her children after that, because then she decided to have babies. What a great way to get some attention. have a baby. Oh my God, you're so beautiful, bow down to her. So she got a lot of attention. But, they kind of set me up for a really crazy childhood because, ego's never satisfied. So I did a lot of stuff as a child. And so we were, my mom took us 4 kids down, into Hollywood, and we got an agent immediately. We kind of looked like the Kennedy family. So it was like that carbon copy, really cute kids. My mom was really beautiful. And so, whatever, but it just comes with it. It sounds great, but so I looked like Shirley Temple, and I ended up auditioning for my first job was Charlie Brown Schultz. I met Charles Schultz and Bill Melendez, and they were auditioning for The Voice of Sally. They had already done the Christmas special, but they knew it was going to be a hit. So Sally, who was an original, Charles Schultz, in his neighborhood, he gathered all the kids in the neighborhood and said, "You guys want to play these cartoon characters?" And The Voice of Sally said, "I don't want to do it." So he went to an agent in LA, and I'm 5, 6 years old. I have no clue what I'm doing. All I knew is I get to meet new people and eat lots of candy because there was always candy, right? So that was like the introduction. Satan got me with sugar. So, so I went into, I got this job, and, I got to be one of the kids in the neighborhood.
What did you expect? A turkey card? Holidays always depress me. I know what you mean. I went down to buy a turkey tree, and all they have are things for Christmas.
I would go to a studio, and I did like 7 shows, and I did a few albums because I sang as a kid, and I was on the, whatever, the Christmas album and the Snoopy Come Home, so it was kind of fun. And then, and as a kid, so I just kind of suited up and showed up, and it's just a lot of commercials I went on. I'm in my 60s, and am proud of it, guys. I worked hard to get this gray hair, but at the time there was only 4 TV channels. You had 4 to 6, and I was on like 40 plus commercials in my childhood. Like, it was constantly on. So it was all about me going to auditions, and it's a different life when you're a kid. I just wanted to be a kid. I wanted to hang out with everybody, and nowadays everybody wants to be famous and somebody, but I just wanted to be a part of a tribe. I wanted to be a part of a gang in my own neighborhood instead of this fictitious world where you put a mask on and you're a part of a gang. I didn't even get to see these kids. Sure. But I would go into the auditions, and we'd all go separately. We'd cross each other in the hall. Like, I'd see Charlie Brown, or I'd see Lioness, or I'd see Peppermint Patty. But we never really were in the same room except when we sang.
I haven't even finished eating all my Halloween candy.
Sally, Thanksgiving is a very important holiday. Ours was the first country in the world to make a national holiday to give thanks.
Isn't he the cutest thing?
And then it was like, oh my God, we're at school. Right. But it was pretty exciting. I did a lot of commercials, and I did Doll Voices, Tiny Tears, Hi Dottie, Baby Beans. I did some Hanna-Barbera stuff, and Buddy Greco's favorite Valentine. I got to sit on his lap. I'm sure he was a pedophile. I didn't know back then, but who knows? But I'm just kidding. I do stand up too, so I'm pretty raunchy. I'm like, it's okay. I didn't feel much. I didn't have much to feel back then anyway, so it didn't matter. But anyway, so it was a lot of fun. And then, good girl turns bad. I got one of those Hollywood stories, Where's my money? Okay, here it is. And then I was out and about. And I came back around. How did I get back into the film? I had gotten, at about 22 years old, I found a mentor that said, it's time to go back to high school, because I had dropped out in 9th grade. And, I couldn't really read until I was 11 years old because I was on set all the time. I didn't do a lot of school. It was like, hey, you want to color? Yeah. Here's your coloring time, and here, look at a book. And, when you're a kid and on set, you're so sensory overload. You're distracted by everything. There's food, there's people catering to you, there's, all these big equipment. And it was so funny. I met a guy on a commercial I script supervised who was a grip when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, everything comes circles. But so anyhow, I ended up going back to high school and in my 20s and getting my, art degree. And I decided to go back into film. I was afraid to be an actor because I had some Me Too things happen in my 20s. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go down that road again, but I'll use my brain. So I thought, what is the position that I could pick where I'm most respected? And I picked continuity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we get paid as if we're not respected, but we get a good pat on the back. You're great. We love you. We're going to take all the credit. See you later. But, I was used to that. I grew up in that world. I didn't get any money. I was sent to juvenile hall and foster homes at 15. So there you go. So anyhow, I'm a coach, and I do a lot of healing for trauma girls. So it's a great thing, but it's another venue that I get to be of service, like in film. I get to entertain this way. I'm now helping people heal. So it's a totally different thing. So I ended up getting, I went to UCLA, and I had finished art school, and I was working on a poster board doing paste up and layout. I had this woman who was mentoring me, and she said, you got to pick a job, because that was job. When you're 20, you're like, I'm going to be this. I'm going to be this, and so I'm working on this movie poster, and I thought, I want to work on movies. Like, who doesn't? It's the magical life. And it was home to me. Like my formative years were spent in this magical world of make-believe. So it was almost natural for me to go back to where I came from. So but I wanted to be taken seriously, because when you're a kid, it's like, cute kid. Now I wanted to be an adult. So I ended up going to UCLA. And my mentor said, if you don't get a job when you're out of this, when you're done, you're going back and you're going to do graphic arts. And I'm so defiant. I'm like, don't threaten me. And my first job I got working on a short Disney short with, I can't remember, Eisner, one of the guys, like tennis coach. He was doing this short film. And I got like $50 an hour for working 16 hours. I was like, this is awesome. I'm working slave labor and it's fun, and that was the beginning of my career. And I do things on the side just to supplement my income, because when you're first starting out, you don't make shit.
Was that in Los Angeles?
It was in LA. So I was in LA. I started doing continuity in 1989. And I hung up my little tap dancing shoes a year ago. So I'm no longer continuing it on film. I do it in my own home life, but that's, a different story. But, I keep things in order here. So, so it was a really incredible journey. I mean, when you started working on Roger Corman movies, if you know of them. I did so many Roger Corman movies. It was right down the street from my house. I remember working 17, 18 hours a day, and your mind is just spent on these B-movie fun. And we got peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. The craft service would slap the peanut butter and jellies, and it was like, yeah, we're making movies. Like, we hit the big time. I'm taking naps on set because I'm so exhausted, But when you're young, it's fun. It's like, it's an adventure. Like, it's like the 0.5% of the world. Like not even 1% is a part of the film industry. There's such a 0.5%, and I get to be a part of it. So I was super, super excited. And I took any job. It was like, slave labor. I'm in. $50 a day for 18 hours. Yeah, that's what, I don't even know. I can't even work it out. I don't want to. Start crying. But like I said, I mean, this is kind of, it was a fun world to be a part of. So from there I went more and more, and I got this job on Indy, which was like, wow, it was like my turning point. And it was a very, very crucial part of my whole life changed.
Well, before I believe you started on a film called Radioland Murders. Is that correct?
Yeah. I did pickups on that. And I got to be a part. It was like just a tip in it.
Well, Mom, it's getting close to lunchtime, and traitorous words, you American slime. And your last, as it's time for me to finish you off with your own rifle.
Like, it's so funny because I would get to do a couple days here and a couple days here in a lot of films. And that's, it was only a few years, 4 years I was into it. I think it was at 92 or 94, 93, I think it was.
93, yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, when you're doing this stuff, when you're working on other films and you're trying to build a career, build a resume, everything was about a resume back. It still is. Like, now it's like, can we see your LinkedIn page? Yeah, it's like, I'll show you that. Your IMDb page,
Right.
But back then you were just like trying to get anything you could on. So you would take a day here, 4 days there. That's my credit, because you want to build up a credit. And I mean, everybody did it. Like, you get a makeup artist would work 5 days on something and they put it down on their resume because they did work on it. Maybe not the whole thing, but it didn't matter. You got in the door because it's such a closed world, and, you see people pick, it's like the herd. There's a lot of people that are picked off.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many people say, I make movies? I'm like, it's funny. I live in Florida and I've gone to a couple Film Florida, and they're like, yes, I make movies. And I have to go down, bitch. Stop. I'm like, how many have you made? Well, I did a short film. I'm like, yeah, try being in the trenches for weeks and months where, you're just like, I hate my life. I love this job. I hate my life. I love this job. Love-hate relationship. But so I was going through a really weird time. My brother was dying of AIDS at the time, and
so sorry.
He passed, life happens. He was the greatest guy. And, there's a lot of gifts in death too. It's not doom and gloom. It's like, wow, what an incredible experience. But so anyway, I'd worked on Young Indy when I was growing up, and it was up north and during the earthquake.
Yeah, you guys were up in Ventura and Fillmore and Santa Barbara.
Yeah, we did all that stuff, right. And I had gotten on this, and I don't even remember how I got the job, but I was elated. It was like, oh my God, I made it. Where I don't know what it is, but I made it, because when you're going by your ego, it is never enough, because then you want more, right? Hello. But I thought, this is it. And it was funny because the first day of shooting, we're supposed to go up, and I met Paige Thomas, who was a camera girl, who's now, she and I have been bestie for 40 plus years.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, she's great. We're like the only girls on set, except a girl named Pippa. She was also a woman. I don't know if you ever met her, but I had met her, and we were supposed to start shooting, and I was living in this teeny little apartment, just, $300 a month. It was just like, I had arrived. I was doing films. I was in a shit apartment, but I was making movies, it's this, illusion of grandeur going on at the time, which is true. But so anyway, so I'm getting ready to go to work. It's 5:30 in the morning, and we have the earthquake that day.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I go, am I going to work? Like, I don't care about the earthquake. Am I going to work?
Sure.
Are we going to complete the picture? This is the way it's going to work. The show must go on. So we go up to Fillmore, and I remember, Rick McCallum, who I love. I haven't talked to him forever. I still have such a warm spot in my heart. He's the funnest, greatest fun. You guys have probably interviewed him.
Yeah,
Love you, Rick McCallum. He was so fun. He's like, I said, are we shooting today? And he goes, we lost another one today. We're talking about the buildings. I was like, oh no. And he's like, I don't know. Let's just find out how many more dropped today. It was just, he was such a great, I learned a lot about who you bring to your job and who you need to be so you can bring the best out of your job from him. He was such a great boss, and he made everybody want to give 150% because of his he has a great character. Just a really wonderful energy. But so I ended up going on this job, and it was such a great experience. I started learning. I remember we were on set, and we were working on a gimbal, and we had an airplane on it. And because it was, Red Baron, all the airplane stuff. And I remember Rick saying, because we were up against a blue screen, and he said to me, one day we're not going to need actors. And I said, what do you mean? He said, see this blue stuff? It's going to kill us. Boy, dude. I'm like, what crystal ball was he looking at? This was in 1993, 94. But it was so exciting showing up because, where I was working for a company that really could go anywhere because of the name.
Sure.
And so we would get all this equipment and all this stuff. And, David Tattersall and all these. It was just so fun to be a part of something that was really beautiful.
No one can stop me loving you, Claire, but I'm just not the right man for you. You need someone steady, reliable, and smart, like old Tony. I nearly vomited over my waffles when I read this.
Francis Ford, you heard of him?
No.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Why should I have?
Oh, he's quite a director. Learned most of what I know from him.
Like you, I was hungry and he took me on.
Doing what?
Stunts.
Well, that was good of him.
Yeah, well, he almost got me killed more than once.
The project was just incredible. Michael Schultz was one of my favorite directors. What an incredible soul.
By the time American Graffiti came out, I was shooting Cooley High.
Why don't you go somewhere? Your place of mine.
I was invited to the Pacific Film Archives in San Francisco. Tom Luddy, who helped create the Telluride Film Festival, saw the film, loved it, showed it there. Lucas saw it, and I met him and the whole gang up in San Francisco, Francis and George, and they said, why don't you move up here? I said, man, I got to work. I got to keep working.
Now he is like hands down, probably one of my top 5 directors I've ever worked with is Michael Schultz. He's just a really, really solid human being. I wouldn't even put him as a director. That's just something he did. He's a human. He's one of the most incredible humans. And he too would bring a calmness to set. So and he did a few of the episodes. So whenever he did, Deepa Mehta she was amazing, but it was pretty intense, in LA.
So it sounds like you came on the project. They were in LA. You were in LA. They were shooting that episode in California, and that's how you got the job. Yeah. When did you learn, or what was the process of deciding we're going to now keep you on? We're going to take you around the world. Do you remember that conversation?
Well, it was crazy because I got along with Paige so well, and we had made friends. And like I said, that we're friends today. She's awesome. She was the only girl, and she had a really rough time because she was the camera case humper.
Yeah.
They gave her like a title of like, yes, you're the loader. No, you're the whooping post. But, she loved these. And I remember we would sit at lunchtime and, I have this thing about me, like I become like, people come to me. And she was it was tough on her, but we band together. So it was like we kept each other going. And it's, the film industry is, it is today still. And it will be always because, separation of man and state, as they say. But it's a boys' world. It's a guys' club. It's a boys' club. And it was really back in the 90s and the 80s, it was a real boys' club. Sure. Because, the makeup. If you were makeup, you were girls. Sure. Costume girls. Anybody on set, leave it to the men. And then here we are, and my position was really go get my secretary to take some notes. Yeah. Golden, MGM right there. And so I'm like, you're just the pencil pusher. And we got more responsibility and more responsibility. Now we're like watching the set. We're the eyes of the set, the eyes of the editor, the eyes of the producer, the eyes for the director. I oversee every single department, and so I liked all the responsibility, but it was a lot of work,
Yeah.
And since I was in that, script supervisor is almost like the mama bear. We oversee everything. Mm. So then you get that position of, that's why Paige and it was like, come on, Paige, you can do it. Go ahead, pick up the case. Screw them. I'll tell them to, F off if they're going to give you a hard time. I'll back you up, girl. So that was like kind of our relationship. And I think that carried through that. And I'm very happy and positive. And, I would come to work and say, best day ever, guys. So, that was my mantra. So I got along with Rick that way. It was like, yeah. Because he has that very high frequency, is really positive too. So I was going through this time. My brother fell sick at the end of the year, and it was at the end of It was 93, and Rick had said, we're going to start traveling. We're going to go to North Carolina, shoot there. We're going to, and then we're going to Prague and Poland and Greece, and you want to go, and I contemplated it because I knew my brother was dying and I wanted to stay and be there for him. And Rick was like, whatever you do, if that happens, that's fine. We want to pick you up. You're a good addition to the crew. And so I discussed it with my brother. My brother's like, you go to Europe, I'll go to heaven. We'll meet each other. And that was, it sounds crazy, but it was a wonderful thank you. My brother released me. I released him. He passed, and I went to Europe. Uh-huh. When we went to Europe, I said goodbye to my brother. This is like not film stuff, but it is. I gave my brother a big hug, and he said, when you get to Prague, I'm going to fax you something. And you'll know I'm there with you. You'll know. He used to call me his little angel, because I took care of him in the end for a couple years, and I became like his guardian angel. So I got to Prague, and I told Rick, this is how great the company was. It was back in the day when we had cell phones that were like this big. You remember those? It was
yeah.
Guys that probably weren't even born.
Oh, we were.
No, we were around.
I'm kidding. So we had these cell phones that were they were bricks. They called them bricks. We had this. It was like the hotline.
Yeah.
I was like, smart. I was doing like Agent Smart, right? So Rick said, since he knew that my brother was pretty much at the end, he said, if you ever need to make a call, you're more than happy to make a call. And back then, making a cell phone call was like $5,000. It was so expensive. Now you can WhatsApp, you can call everywhere. You don't even have to pay for anything. So anyway, I got to Prague, and my brother sent me a letter, and he says, I know what no, he said, it was right after. So I get to Prague the night I check into the hospital. Brother calls me up and he says, listen, I'm leaving now. I love you. You'll know I'm with you this whole trip. I'm going to stay with you. I'll send you signs, and I'll send you a really big one. You'll see it tomorrow. Now, I don't know what he's talking about. And then my brother passes an hour later. And I'm at the hotel room, and I feel him hug me. It's like one of those crazy stories. And I get up the next morning, first day of shooting in Europe. My brother had just died the night before. And I told Rick, and Rick said, anything you need, I'm here. And I said, no, I need to show up for work because it'll keep me in motion. You know, I'm going to have to grieve anyhow. Yeah, I can grieve in LA. I can grieve here. It's a part of life. So, and it's not cold and callous. I don't have a problem processing my feelings. And I cry in public. I don't give a shit. So anyway, so I go to set and I get this fax that says, hey, how do you like Prague? I knew you'd love it here. Did you see what I sent you? And I get in the van and we get in the car and there's cherubs all over Prague. And I'm like, oh, dude, you are killing me today, buddy. This is my brother. And then my brother used to pick me flowers all the time and leave them on my car. He was a great guy. I get to set and there's angels painted in this huge castle.
And what about you? Why are you fighting, Herr Rittmeister?
All over the ceilings. And I'm like, oh my God. Rick's like, and I'm crying. And I go, dude, can I use the phone? He's like, anytime. And he let me call my family and everybody. And then there was a guy named David Balfour. He was art guy, great guy, love him. He was so much fun. We had so much fun. He used to bring me flowers every day, and he'd say, you know, my mom passed about 2 months ago, and I don't know, I got this idea that I should bring you flowers daily. And I was like, oh my God. So it was a very painful, magical time on this whole experience. You know, I got to meet some incredible film people, the English and the Scots, and, you know, I can't remember his name. He was a stunt guy. He used to let me ride the horses.
Oh, Simon Crane, maybe, or
oh yeah, Simon Crane used to. I got to ride because I'm an equestrian rider, so I got to go ride horses, and we got to do stuff. And they always, it was just it was a crew. Like in America, we segregate. I'm props. I'm this. Don't touch that. That's my screwdriver. You're going to get written up. In Europe, everybody's like a team.
Yeah.
So we spent months and months, and they were incredibly supportive during my mourning and my grieving. And then we just had great time. We had fun. The actor, oh my God, I just forgot. I have any timers.
Is it Sean Patrick Flannery or someone?
Sean Patrick Flannery was such a great actor.
You guys really took care of me. I just hope I never have to fly again.
He's such a great actor, and he was he was fun. All the actors were great. His dad was great.
Lloyd Owen, the actor?
Owen. Oh, sorry, Lloyd. Shoot me now.
The questions that Aristotle asked marked a turning point in the history of mankind. An intellectual awakening so beautiful, its day has not yet come to a close.
Lloyd and I, we remained friends. It was great. I mean, we had so much fun, and it was hard because we worked 6 days a week. Yeah. 16, 17, 18 hours a day. We'd drive an hour, we'd go to Poland, we'd be driving everywhere, and then we'd work. And it was cold. It was in, February, March. It was freezing. I come from California, and cold to me was like, oh shit, it's 50, get my down jacket. Now it's like 20. We're working in these old castles, and it was freezing. The cement was freezing.
Aristotle says that man is a philosophical animal. Please behave like one.
But we all laughed and we took the piss out of everybody. That was it. They said, we're taking the piss out of you now, aren't we? It was a great experience.
You mentioned Michael Schultz, one of the directors you worked with. He did the Hollywood episode. Did you work with Ben Burt when he did the airplane episode?
I did. Ben Burt, great guy too. Yeah. I mean, they picked George and Rick. They didn't just pick people who were good on the outside, who did good things. They interviewed them because they knew that this was, when you're making art, it wasn't a Pollock. This was like, they did the Rembrandt. They wanted to really pick the colors and the people, and they made a conscious decision on who they brought into their circle.
Captain Defense, you did very well on your first assignment. Pleased it.
And it showed in their work. It was beautiful work. I mean, you don't see that today. I mean, everything, you can see some great stuff, but it's AI'd. It's not even real. The DP, he felt the coloring of the sky. He wasn't just going to turn the camera on. It was like very, very, very intentional. Every shot was incredibly intentional. And when you're around that mindful shooting, you start implementing that into your own my next jobs I picked. I was discerning about it. It wasn't like just any job.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I want to pick things that I can resonate with, or I like the crew, or, and I have walked away from quite a few, and I'm, kind of proud to say that I have a voice, and I don't really care if you like me again. That's okay. I like me. How about that?
We like you too.
But that was something I learned from, you learn by what you see. And, I remember a couple of times, I can't remember, I think it was in North Carolina, Rick had to let go of somebody. I can't remember who, and I probably wouldn't say it anyway for the respect out of that person. Sure. But I remember, it wasn't just, and I'd seen that so many times in our business, is they cut people out. It's like, off with your head. The crime, the sentence never fits the crime, but they don't care. They just like power. But I saw how Rick actually appreciated the guy, but said it was no longer working anymore, that we weren't connecting. And I remember hearing him, and he probably doesn't remember this, but I'm pretty intuitive, and I am a script supervisor. I pick up everything. So I'll walk into a room, my husband will say something like, you go, how did you see that? And I'm like, dude, nothing gets past me, okay? I have 37 years of training this eye, okay? I'm like, so you can't fucking get away with anything. Just kidding. So I'm teasing, seriously though. But no, but I remember seeing Rick. Rick was very kind about it. And he, instead of, cutting bait and getting rid of them, because that's how we do it, in the circus world, you get rid of somebody, you throw somebody in, you fall off the high swinger, you throw somebody back up, you know what I mean? You trapeze. But he was very kind about it. And I remember there was a changing of the guards. Instead of off with your head, you're fired. Mm. And I really appreciated that from there on. And so I picked jobs, and I also left jobs when I didn't feel like I was, I'd walked away for some big jobs. I was, one was probably one of the top huge director. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to you scream at people. I don't want to be around that energy. I was, I already was abused as a kid. I don't need to I don't want you to pay me to get abused. Now I'm just trafficked. What's the difference? You know what I mean? I'm really, and so I'd walked away from some jobs because of people like Rick, and because of, that crew, that mentality, like, let's do this together, or, it's not working. I mean, was a really kind thing I saw. So.
Well, we saw pictures of you. I think it was a picture of you with Paige in probably would have been Europe at the German base. Did you go off to Thailand with them too?
I didn't go to Thailand. I didn't go because I had some stuff to take care of. There was some life stuff. But no, we went to Greece, which was so fun. Oh, that was just, I mean, you can't, it was so magical.
Couldn't this have waited until tomorrow?
No, that's impossible. Tomorrow, I have to head north. Now, the Parthenon is the most perfect building ever.
I mean, so hard. It's like the hardest job, but it was so much fun. You know, and I met so many great people along the way. You know, when we were in Europe, we were there from March until September. I mean, we went everywhere.
Wow, yeah.
And you just get whooshed around. You're so tired. You're like, where are we going next? Great. Where do I have to pack now? You know, it's the circus. And some of the things they did filming wise was really, they were ahead of their game. You know, they started, like I said, I mean, doing the blue screen, that was not heard of. That was like, they were breaking ground. They were the forefront of what we're doing today. Yeah. And like I said, when Rick said we're not going to need actors anymore because of this, I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we are. And it's like, we don't. Done. Finished. Pretty much. Scary.
Our big thesis with this podcast is that like this really was a turning point, and you know, an era when things were getting redefined. You know, and the question I wanted to ask was that you'd worked on other projects, you've worked on projects since. I wonder if you have any thought of like how Young Indy was different on a very kind of tactile way compared to other movies or shows that you've worked on.
In a nutshell, Young Indy was art, and pretty just across the board.
This is a business?
Oh yeah, like any other. Only it's an art form too, which makes it a little peculiar.
You could say that again. I've seen a lot of strange things.
Oh, geez.
Is it always like this?
Mostly.
Everything, like the wardrobe was really thought of. It was as authentic. Everything was as to the point. I mean, I worked on some other like, you know, army stuff and period pieces, and they would make up what they thought was. But on Indy, no, you had to go by the book. It was like, why not recreate instead of make?
Yeah.
Is a big difference. So it was, as I said, you know, the camera, you know, just the shots, everything was done at such a huge, it was done in a huge arena, but defined in television. It was like you were working on a huge motion picture, but you were doing it in TV.
Welcome to Germany. I have never bagged an American before.
But that didn't matter. You didn't go, oh, it's just TV, you know, wide, medium, close up, out, you know, get an insert in there. You know, it was all well planned. It was very artistically. So that was the difference. It was a class act.
Yeah.
It was a class act project. It wasn't a hack job. No hack movie making there.
You said you were in Europe for about 6 months, and so then you were also in Wilmington, and you filmed in California. So this was probably a good solid year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah. Wilmington, and then when we went to Greece, Greece was which is, I don't know if that makes sense. You either become that's just my work, or you actually hone and get better at your craft, whatever your job may be. And that got me to me. I wanted to work on better projects. I didn't want to just work.
Right.
You know, I wanted to choose, and if I could pick and choose or bring what I'd learned into it. And there was a sense of pride that came with me afterwards. I think all of us did. We felt proud of what we had not just working with, you know, a George Lucas production, it was more of I got to be a part of an art project that wasn't an art project, you know, like
right.
was really crafted together. So you kind of built your esteem up, and so your choices after that became different. I think we all witnessed that. I felt very proud to be a part of it. It kind of set my it set my barometer where I was going next after that.
Well, looking at your resume, it does seem like, especially later on in your career, not a lot of Roger Corman. There's some real, some crazy good stuff in here.
Do you want to push me away? Why would I want to push you away? I love you.
You knew this was coming, Pete.
I didn't kill your father.
Whew, thank God that place died off. But you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. I had, those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, off the hook, guys. Best ever. I met who was oh my God, he's huge. He won so many Academy Awards. I worked with him too. I'll remember it when I least expect it, and I'll email you. But I worked with some pretty amazing people that came out of that little Roger Corman. Janusz Kaminski. That's it. We did a few movies. Yeah. Like he was like doing these crummy projects with me. It's like, and look. You can make a lot of mistakes on someone else's dime like that.
It's interesting you worked on the unreleased Fantastic Four movie, which had Jay Underwood in it, who also worked on
Young Indy. Right.
It's very fun.
Yes.
Very fun.
Ollie Sassoon was the director. He was super fun.
I got you an audition for the Fantastic Four for Johnny Storm. I'm like, who? And he's like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like huge. And he said, so it's Roger Corman, King of the B movies. So it's not going to be a real big budget, but they're making it and blah, blah, blah. So I go down, I do the audition, I get the part, they dye my hair blonde, and we go into production.
God help us.
A Roger Corman production. This was, what was interesting about the Fantastic Four was it was a huge budget for Roger Corman.
He certainly defined independent filmmaking in the 60s and 70s. I mean, he's always worked completely underneath the radar of conventional Hollywood and has made, 500 or 600 films.
It was actually over $1 million. It was like $1.1 million, $1.2 million. Roger's movies are more like 300,000.
I wouldn't mind giving him a ride. You have to excuse Billie Jean. She gets a little boy crazy.
Bathe with that thing?
I also sleep with it, so don't get any ideas.
I've been quoted as saying, make the most of what you've got.
I love that movie. I mean, it's leaked. It's out there in the world, but it's so
cheeseball. Dude, it's a classic. I mean, I got to work with, believe it or not, and over the last 15 years, I went back in front of the camera, so I've done a bunch of movies. I have one that's out right now called Brittany Lost Her Phone.
That tool is the tool of the devil.
How can I help you?
This is Brittany.
It's a time travel about an old 1800 family finds an iPhone. It's actually a comedy.
I think this Brittany, if it's even her real name, I think she's a false prophet. And I think that she is a cursed tree that bears forbidden fruit.
And, the fun thing is because when I started acting in front of the camera again, it's like, it's my home. Like I would say, oh, you want me over here? Am I making the mark? Do I get the light? They're like, how do you know this? I'm like, oh, dude, I just set from the chair to here. That's it. That's only the distance that I moved, So it's, when you work in the industry, it's nice because you're in this cocoon of being able to try different crafts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Take a risk because you're not afraid that you're in the same pool.
Is a lot of these projects you're working on, are they out of Florida, or are you still bouncing around the globe?
No. I still have an agent here. I model. I'm getting I rewrote my memoir called Good Grief, Hollywood Ate My Childhood. Bingo. And then I've written a few children's books that I'm looking for publishing. So yeah, I'm a creative, and I still do commercials, and I still, come on, now it's like, yeah, you want to work on a retirement commercial? Sure. Depends. I'm in. I don't care. Insure, I'm all over it. Yeah, it's a different, no longer Mattel. Now it's like diaper commercials or help, I've fallen, I can't get up.
As the script supervisor on Young Indy, you mentioned the blue screens before. Like, I imagine there was a fair amount of stuff on the show that was new. There was some stuff that maybe was new to your job. I wonder if you would agree with that, or was it very much just kind of like we're just going up and doing the job?
It was completely new. It was like they were bringing these new technologies because they could, and they could afford to take the risk, and they would bring in these experts. And I remember doing the blue screen. Now you just point, shoot. Now you don't even need that. But we had to measure it. We used to get the height, the distance, the focal length, the lens. So it was this very intense project. I mean, and then when I started doing the Fast and Furious, we had to do the same thing. Yeah. And I thought, God, I was doing this, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, dudes. Haven't you, so they really, they set the ball rolling into this. So it was pretty exciting to be a part of something that no one had. I would say they started a lot of things. I think they actually set the ball rolling for a lot of different techniques.
You were doing the lined script and all the typical things that you do. Was there any extra provision made for visual effects or, anything different in your logging as a result of that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had to do a lot more paperwork for sure. But you don't care. It's just a part of, I would get more work and more work. It wasn't just 2 cameras. Sometimes it was 10 cameras that day. Sometimes it was, I get paid, I get a little, kick in the ass and here's an extra bag of potato chips for today, but whatever, it was work, But yeah, there was a lot extra work loaded on because it was new and it wasn't like today. You could use your phone, take pictures. I had to have the Polaroid and I had to carry all the pictures. That was a funny thing. You would have a roll of Polaroids and we put it on a ring and I'd hold it with me, or I'd have to bring my books. Now everything's on an iPad, because I did descend into the new world, and everything was on my iPad. In the end, I was doing when I did a couple of the Fast movies, I had a mini iPad and I'd stick it in my back pocket, and that's what I carried around.
Yeah. Right.
But
that's all you need.
in Indy, I had a notebook for the script, a notebook for the breakdown, for the continuity, for all the pictures. And it was like I had like a truck with me to go everywhere. But at the end of the night, you would take your line notes, and the olden days they used to put it's like really aging people. You put a carbon copy and a piece of paper and you write everything, and you just give the carbon copy to the editor or the original. You keep the carbon. But then we came up with the copier machine, which was so easy. But it would take me an hour and a half to copy all my pages because I keep writing back and I had this stuff. So I was doing, 18-hour days, but I was excited.
Wow. It's crazy to think if we had the logs, it would be your notes because the nature of it, right? Like even if it was photocopies, that's what's going to be in the record.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was nice because you really are the editor's eye. And, I would talk to the editor and say, I think we need this to pick up because I don't know if it's going to cut. And the director would say, oh, how do you know? And I said, I don't know. I just kind of have an idea of, And when you work on so many movies or so many projects, the script supervisor, let's say I roughly did probably 300 things, right? The director that I'm working with has done 5 films.
Right.
So when I would say, I really believe you need this. How do you know? And I'd go, Boys Club. I would say, I don't know, I have a feeling. I'd have to pull the chick shit in there. I just have a feeling, because they're not going to listen to my brain because it's a boys club. So you would have to learn how to talk to people. The art of being a woman on set. So you would, and a lot of times I would be able to bring, it felt good to be able to add to the project and know that, all us script supervisors band together. We always say, we saved your ass in this film. It'd be shit if we didn't. It's kind of like that's our locker room talk. If it wasn't for us, dude, you wouldn't be where you're at. And it's true. Our position, I keep the producer happy because I let them know what we need, what we don't need, what's not, what's a waste of money. And then the editor, I get to be his eyes. I get to be the continuity for the director and make sure he gets his stuff. And if he missed anything, if he needs to pick it up, and make a list for next week. And when we're doing pickup days, we can't forget. And then we have to make sure everything matches.
Yeah.
It's like with Indy, we would start something the year before when we were in Wilmington. And by the end of the series, by September, they'd say, we're going to go pick up shots from last September. And I go, I have the notes. Because you couldn't always get the dailies rushed to you. We'd get little pictures, but that's like 1, 2, 3 frames. We didn't have this thing where it'd go, put the dailies on your phone and look at it. We didn't have the access to that. So I would have to go by my explicit notes. I would write, entered in camera right to left, had his hand up on his left cheek, his right cheek.
Right.
Put his hand down during this, because now we're going to match that when he walks in. We need a wide of that. We should have gotten a wide on the day, or I think it would help if we got this pickup. Where was that trash can? He's going to go down and grab the paper out of it. So we got to make it all match. So it's like a puzzle. It's
been so fascinating to learn and hear about how Young Indy was really treated like a feature film. In that, like, usually with TV, you'd get 7 days to shoot, and that's it. You don't get time for pickups. And yet, we've learned that it's like, no, they were doing, as you said, doing pickup shots and additional shooting for over the course of a year.
Yeah, such art.
Yeah.
It was an art. It was a piece of art. It's a different type of canvas, like a painting. You didn't just throw, it's not a Pollock, babe. I told you, it's, it's a Rembrandt. So that was the way they treated it. You're only as good as who's above you, and because of people like Rick and people, who were above, who actually believed in teamwork, believed in everybody has a part of the project. And so by keeping that vein and that energy, everybody wanted to put their best into it. Management takes, when you have an empathetic heart, meaning you have you're connecting with that person, man, you'll get 110%. And they knew that. And they created that. And that's why that project was so exquisite.
Just curious if you remember being on set, would have been for the airplane Attack of the Hawkmen, when Anthony Daniels was doing his cameos, the actor who played C-3PO.
It is not hair oil. It is invisible ink.
Oh my God. Kind of, but not really. I don't know.
You must wear these to maintain your disguise from the Germans. You must use them for reading.
It's a small appearance. We just saw it the other night. Just curious.
Sean Patrick family, it was great. And Lloyd was such fun. We laughed and laughed and laughed. And then Rick was hilarious. I remember this one time. He was just fun and when you're on set and you're working all these hours, you got to have fun. Otherwise, forget it. And Rick was always about that. You got to have fun, or we're not going to be here. That's how he made the family. It was like a big fun, and he put the fun and dysfunctional in this family for sure. So we were shooting. I was shooting down below, and it was in this really old hotel that was probably from the 1700s. We got to shoot in some incredible places. We got to shoot in some churches that were like 800 or 600 AD. You're like, wow, I can't believe I'm in here. Like, how lucky are we? So we were shooting, and I can't remember who was doing it. I think it may have been Michael Schultz was directing. And Rick found one of these pens that had like a red light. And they were shooting Lloyd, and Rick was above Lloyd, and he was shooting this red pin on the director's face. And Lloyd was like, and it screwed up over and over. And we were laughing so hard. Lloyd kept saying, could you see that? Could you see that? Because Rick would put it on and move it. And Rick was just laughing. He was like his 15-year-old. But we would do stuff like that, and then would have, they keep you in, like, having fun, because it was hard. It's hard work. It's really hard work. It's not like go to your office, sit, do your time, and clock out. It was, we were in cold weather. It was raining. It was, hot. In the summertime, it was so hot.
I really doubt if the bus is even going to come. And if it does, there's probably only one a day, and it's probably already gone.
Junior, you are now being cynical.
We all went to a Aerosmith concert in Prague.
Wow.
It was in like August, and it was disgusting because no one wore BO juice there. And it was so crowded, and they're like, let's all go to the front. And Paige and I were like, God, it stinks. We gotta get out of it. It was so fun. But we did stuff like that. We'd all do stuff as a group. We'd have one day off. So it was do your laundry and maybe get a good meal. That was it.
Right.
For months and months. Like I said, it was the circus.
How long do you remember were you in Prague? Like, were you living in Prague for an extended period of time?
Yeah, we're there for 4 months or something like that. Yeah, we stayed in the hotel. I didn't want to get housing. Oh. I like just knowing where I was going to get picked up, and because I would come home and I'd have to do work after work.
Sure.
That's the Hilarity's dream. That's the script supervisor's lucky job. It's so awesome. Like, yeah.
We haven't been able to track down Ruth DeSouza, who played Young Indy's mom. So, wife of Lloyd Owen's character there. I wondered if you had any recollections of her, and you would have worked with her. Probably not much. She wasn't really in a lot of the
Well, she wasn't in the Greece portion of that, and if she wasn't in the Russia section, I don't know.
Was she in? She might have been in Wilmington when we were in Wilmington. I think she might have been. I think I do remember.
Of course not. It never is. Things just happen. Like the pig you painted purple in St. Petersburg.
Oh no, I explained.
Or the moose in Murmansk. How could you know he would get stuck in the outhouse?
Right, yeah.
So, what's your excuse this time?
Well, there was a bat.
You were playing baseball in that room?
No, Mother, a real bat. I'm serious.
I don't even want to hear about it, Henry.
Quiet, nice, pleasant, very classy, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
She's MIA, huh, guys?
We just can't find her. She's disappeared.
She seems to have.
She wrote stops. Done.
Yeah. And some people just need to step back from the industry and be kind of done with it all, and that's totally fine.
It's a part of your life. I mean, I still do a little bit, but I'm phasing 100% out. I mean, I get to use my fame to, build up my keynotes and motivational speaking, but I use, you got to use your past. I mean, that's how I grew. All these accumulation of lifetimes that I've lived, bring me to where I'm at. But yeah, I get to say I'm very grateful, and definitely that I got to be a part of the film industry when it was still art.
Right.
And it's not, let's hurry up and shoot and make $12 an hour. And, at least you're making movies. Now it's like, no, I'll go get a banker's job and make 20 times more, and I'll go do it for fun and for free instead of, now it's just it's changed. It's not the same.
When you can, that's the crazy thing. Somebody asked me, he was like, what would you do if, I don't know what amount of money he said, $1 million, let's say. And he said, what would you do if you had $1 million? And I said, well, I guess I'd go buy a house.
Right.
And I'd turn the garage into a studio, and I'd just make movies in the house.
Right, exactly. I wouldn't invest it. I would just, Yeah, it's fun. I directed and was in a short film, and when I went to Georgia, I produced it. My friend directed it. It was just something fun to do. And I've, written, I just got one of my screenplays that I wrote with my girlfriend. We just won for our genre for We'll Make Your Movie. It's one of those, things. So I just won for the prize for that. So I just write on the side because I've read 50,000 scripts, maybe, And so I can see how things are intertwined together. And when you work on it all the time, you're like, oh, that's not going to work. Cut that, cut that. Because I remember being on set and you get this one script, even a TV episode, like, you know, I don't know, working on West Wing. So you get this one script. And then by the time you shoot, it's been cut.
Right.
Because you kind of get an idea what's important, how it's gonna melt together, is gonna carry on to the next episode. So, you know, by having that on-set education training, it's like I went to school, you know, that you learn more than film school, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm a director. Yeah, you are. I'm a writer. Okay, good. I write, you know, to God every night too, but that doesn't. So you know, but I look at that and I go, wow, you know, thank you for the education. So I clean up people's scripts. I'll do that on the side. I don't just pick a career. I'm just creative. Yeah. If I can help you clean your script up so you can try to sell it, call me. I'll do it. I got a great eye, you know, and I'm creative as shit. And I can give you stuff. I don't care. I'll give it to you. You don't have to give me anything for it. Just go create, go make magic, go make movies, go play. Tap into your little kid, go dream, adventure. That's what movie making is. It's, you know, and today, unfortunately, it's all about money, 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 money.
It's very true. It's very true.
Well, I guess I don't know if we're getting out to Florida, but, you know, Peter and I were making this documentary right now about this period in George Lucas's career. It's called George Lucas, The Lost Golden Age. And a lot of it is by Young Indy. And we have a budget. Obviously, we have to be responsible. But if we could get to you in Florida, would you be down to sit down for the documentary?
Dude, let's do it. I'm in.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll put it in one of the trips. You know, I know we talked about Atlanta, so maybe that we'll figure out a way to do it. But it'd be great to have you.
If I can hook you up with people down here, I got my ends. You know, I know some people still.
Well, that would be great. No, we always need help finding people, especially from that era. As you mentioned, like LinkedIn and stuff. Well, you know, that wasn't a thing back then. So if people didn't, you know, sign on 10 years later, it can be very difficult to find them. You know?
Well, you know, a lot more film people are on LinkedIn now.
It's true. It's very true. It's very true.
You know, you can go stalk anybody on Instagram and TikTok, and you're in, guys.
That's very true.
You know,
it's very true.
Or the Facebook CIA contact. That's it. You can go on that one too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's that. You know, I'm sure you experienced this on later films, but now it's almost the point of form that you friend each other on Facebook after a shoot. But Young Indy days, if you didn't stay in touch, you didn't call each other, you know, it's very easy to lose touch. So it's
I mean, Paige and I stayed in touch, and then David and Keenan, Keegan?
Keegan, yeah, we want to talk to Keegan, actually.
I love Keegan. Keegan's awesome. He's on my Facebook page. You guys can find him on that, I think.
Okay, we'll look him up.
Keegan's awesome. Yeah, he got married, moved off, and I think he did some more stuff. We stayed in contact. You know, we did. There was a handful of us who did stay in contact because it was kind of a weird, magical time.
Yeah.
You know? It wasn't just another job on my resume. It was a real wholehearted artistic experience.
Well, you mentioned a few of your projects you've been working on, but is there any coming forward that you're particularly excited about that you want to plug for the podcast?
Well, I just say Brittany Lost Her Phone is really funny. It's on Tubi. It just got released. It's really stupid funny. Nice. I'm doing keynote speaking, so I do like seminars or like, you know, stuff like that. I do trauma healing, all because of my film background. It's funny.
You're an expert.
I'm an expert in drama. Trust me. One dysfunctional family. Hello. And I get to be the mama bear. No, it's funny. I'm going to go speak in Nova University in April. And the head of like the trauma department for the Miami hospital and then the trauma department for the rescue. And the guy who's doing it is like all about having a good mindset when you go to your employees so people don't get triggered all day long.
Yeah, sure.
Like the Rick McCallum did. Like he was ahead of his time. So I get to speak about workspaces. I'm like, okay, I got hired I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do it because I've worked on a lot of different jobs and you bring in the calmness, especially when things happen.
Yeah.
You either get to be the, the heart attack, or you get to be the flatliner. So it's kind of pick a choice when you're at work. It's like,
that's a choice right there.
100%. It's so true. It's so true. So
that's fantastic.
Thank you for asking me to come on.
Yeah, no, such a pleasure to speak with you. It's been really, really fun, really fun. And yeah, I hope we can get you for this documentary as well. So listeners out there, if you want to get in touch with us, find us at Young Indy Pod, Young Indy Chroniclers on all the social medias that are out there. Find us on Patreon. Just search up Young Indy Chroniclers. And we're still accepting late pledges on the Kickstarter. If you'd like to hop on over there, figure out how you can support George Lucas' The Lost Golden Age, new upcoming documentary all about Young Indiana Jones, Radioland Murders, and the Star Wars Special Edition.
Nice.
So for Daniel and myself, thanks very much for being here. Until next time, keep on adventuring.
Next time on the Young Indy Chroniclers.
We're thrilled to have Laird. How are you, sir?
Hey, guys.
We asked you here to talk about Demons of Deception.
Demons of Deception is an amalgamation of 2 episodes.
Both very director-driven episodes with Renee and then Nicholas Roeg.
By having a Carrie Fisher episode, Carrie Fisher wrote it. The chemistry when they're mad at each other, when Indy and Mata Hari are mad at each other, feels right, because they probably were.
Is there a maternal element to this because he's younger? And I feel like the episode suggests all of that, and in a good Nicholas Roeg fashion, answers none of it.